morning, it's Monday. It is a glorious day, not a cloud in the sky here in Ireland. And I am set up outside to do some sewing today. So it's just far too nice to be inside today. It's not very windy today, so it's just perfect for sewing. I have tried in the past to set up for sewing outside, and when it gets too windy, everything just keeps flying. So there's a little breeze, just enough to keep slightly cool. I'm going to get my sun hat and I'm going to do a little bit of sewing outside today. So I'm going to just show you what I'm going to do. So of course it's Me Made May, and last year was my first year to take part in Me Made May. Now I took part in it really badly because I'd only really just got started back into my sewing. So I think I started with maybe a dress and a skirt and a few bits, so I didn't participate for too many days, but it just got my sojo going again. So this year my pledge to Me Made May is to wear something Me Made every day, and to also go back and revisit some of the things I made last year. So I have absolutely loads of clothes that I made last year because of course I went mental sewing once I found loads of lovely fabrics. So I have quite a few makes in a box in my sewing room that were made last year and maybe not finished for whatever reason or another. I've two of them here that weren't finished simply because the summer ran out and I wasn't going to wear them. So I am going to finish, and it's all I have to do is buttons. This is a kind of a shirt dress. So it's got kind of elbow length sleeves. It was a free paper pattern with one of the sewing magazines. I will put in a picture here of course. And the only thing I have to do with it is I have to put the buttons in. Now what put me off about it last year when I was making it was that the hips ended up just too tight on me. So what I did this year was I let out the hips a little bit, and I also sewed the button placket down from, say, the waist down, and I pulled it out a little bit so that it's not, one isn't directly on top of the other, so it gives my hips a little bit extra room. And plus then I only have to do buttons, I only have to do up buttons from the neck down. So I'm going to sew all those buttons on today, and then I have to put little buttons on these little, I don't know what you call them, on the sleeves. So this is really lovely light viscose that I got from goodness knows where last year. No idea at all, but I think that's going to be really, really nice. And then the second dress, I'd completely forgotten about this, only for seeing this fabric on the sewing bee last week. And it's this Lady McCalls Venice fabric. So I started a dress in this last year. I made one of these dresses last year and loved it. Again, I'll put in a picture. It's got a dipped skirt, which I really like. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it dips down at the front. I really like it. It's real swishy. Now, when I made it last year, I made it according to the pattern size that I reckoned would fit me. And you know, it fit me really nicely. And I was happy with it because I hadn't really gotten into being very fussy about the fit. And it's got it's a sleeveless top, and it kind of bunches here around the bust. So when I got more into fitting towards probably the end of summer last year, I kept thinking about this, that it actually fit nicely, but I didn't like the bunching. So what I did was I cut this one out in a smaller size but a bigger cup size. Now I think it's a McCalls pattern, so I really like the McCalls with the fact that they give so many cup sizes to their bodices. God, the sun is really, really strong. I need to get that hat. I'm going to end up with a burnt forehead. So I have, the skirt is done, pockets are in it, length is done, and I am lining the bodice of it because this fabric is really, really light. I've got like a stretchy lining for it, so I'm going to hopefully finish that today. It's going to need a little bit of overlocking, so I'm going to have to go upstairs to my sewing room to do the overlocking, but a couple of runs up the stairs will do me no harm. And I actually have a zip for it, which is great. I was afraid I would get as far as the zip and not be able to do the zip on it. And then the third thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to revisit my Audrey top I made a couple of weeks ago, simply because I really don't like the way the neckband stands up from me. So I'm going to unpick just the two little corners, the shoulders, I suppose you call them, and I'm going to change the slope of them and hopefully they'll lay that little bit flatter. So they're my 3 little jobs today, and by the time I have them done I'll be going in and out for drinks of water and whatever, and it'll probably have cooled down a little bit, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if this weather is promised for tomorrow, so I'm just going to enjoy it for while I can today. I have an umbrella that I might shade myself with after a little bit, but I'm definitely going to get the hat. So I'll chat to you again tomorrow. Good morning. So it's Tuesday and I'm sitting here at my industrial sewing machine today because today is going to be an industrial sized sewing day. I've been taking orders for masks locally and I have a huge big pile of orders. So I sewed some of the lining together yesterday outside and I'm going to get on with a few hours of sewing now here. My back gets really tired doing this sort of conveyor belt sewing, so I'll do as much as I can until I get a pain and then I'll do something else and then I'll come back. So it's a lovely day here today, but there's a little bit too much wind for sewing outside because I know I've done it before. I've set up the table, I brought out the sewing machine and then everything goes flying off the desk, so it's just not worth it. So I'm going to look out at it for a little while. I think it'll probably improve a bit later on. So yeah, even if I can't sew outside, I'm going to go outside for a little bit today. So yesterday was a very productive day. I finished this. I sewed the buttons on. It didn't actually take long at all. And it's really, really comfy. It's really light. It's a lovely viscose. I've no idea where I bought it from. Can't remember at all, but it's, yeah, it's really, really nice. I've put a belt on with it. So yeah, it's really, really comfy. I also finished this dress. So really pleased with this. The fit is spot on up on the top. I tried on last year's dress and had a look at the issues and then tried this one on before I put the zip in, and it fits so much nicer. So going down the size but up the cup size worked perfectly. So I sewed the bodice onto the skirt, tried it on and then realised that the bodice was just too long, so I took that up by about, I think, 3/4 of an inch and love the fit on it. I also adjusted the collar of the Audrey top. I'll wear it for tomorrow's video to show you. It's still sort of sticking up. I don't really like the neckline, but I think with hair down it's fine. It just sort of sticks up here at the back. I don't know. So I think when I make the next one, I'm going to size down up here and leave the rest of it the same. So I think I made the Audrey top in just a straight size 10. I'll cut down this part of it, so the raglan sleeves and around the neckline, I'm going to cut it down to an 8 and leave the rest of it as a 10 and give that a go because I really, really like the shape of the top. I'd really like for it to be a success. So as I was sewing yesterday, I had a little issue with my sewing machine. So my sewing machine has a sensor on it to tell me when the bobbin is going to run out, which is really, really handy. But yesterday it decided that the bobbin was going to run out, even though it wasn't, and then it wouldn't actually sew. So I did everything. I put in a different bobbin. I took apart the bobbin case. I cleaned it all out because I thought maybe there was a bit of lint because they're very sensitive to lint and dust, and it actually didn't need that much at all. Put it all back together and it still wouldn't sew. And then I thought, oh, maybe it just didn't like the heat yesterday, because actually yesterday was really, really hot. And even though I was in the shade, I thought maybe the LCD screen had got maybe too warm. So I just packed it up, brought it inside and just hoped for the best. And I brought out my daughter's Janome machine. Now it's a lovely Janome, it's an entry-level sewing machine. It sounds a bit like a tractor, but it's really solid. It's a great little machine. I just powered through my sewing after. I put in the zip into this with it. It's actually got a really lovely zipper foot. I think it's even nicer than the one on my own sewing machine. And it seems to be afraid of nothing. So my machine is quite a moody machine, I reckon. It doesn't always like the needles I put in, so I have to change between ballpoint and jersey. And if it doesn't like the needle, it just won't sew. But yeah, this Janome, you can stick any needle, any fabric, it'll just sew. It's just a great little machine. But I tried my Husqvarna this morning and it seems to be happy again. It's actually sewing, it's not bothered about the bobbin at all. So thank God. I was actually really worried about it because, I mean, if something happened to it and I couldn't get it fixed at the moment, I know I have the genome, I know I have my daughter's genome, and yeah, but I really like sewing in my sewing room with my Husqvarna. So anyway, after my mask sewing is done today, I'm going to do a little bit of sewing for myself this evening. So I'm kind of thinking the mask is my work at the moment. So I'm used to working from home, and I'm used to working to a little work from home routine, and then maybe in the evenings do some sewing for me. So this evening I'm going to just have a look at this. This is the Sew Over It Marguerite dress. I cut it out last year. It's from fabric that I got very cheaply from Minerva. I like the Marguerite, but I don't know if it's going to suit me, so I just cut it out of this as, I suppose, a wearable toile you'd call it. So I'm going to start putting a little bit of this together this evening, I think. Or I also have a Harper cardigan cut out from this lovely teal ponte from Anne-Marie's. And I also got the rainbow overlocker thread, and I'm dying to put that in. So it's start this or do a little bit of this. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see this evening. So yeah, today is going to be a bit of an industrial sewing day. And yeah, hopefully that wind dies down a bit later on. I can get outside for a bit of maybe sewing as well. Good morning, it's Saturday. So the last time I came on to do a video was, I think it was Tuesday. And I had planned to do a whole day of sewing face masks and then have a leisurely evening of sewing for myself. And that didn't exactly work out. I just spent the whole day until late in the evening sewing the masks. And that took over into Thursday as well. I went to the post office Thursday. By the time I came back from the post office, I was exhausted. So I've actually done no more sewing for myself or anything else this week. Yesterday was spent out the garden cutting the grass that had grown about a foot high. So yeah, that was absolutely lovely. I got a little bit sunburnt, even though I was wearing my hat and I was wearing a sun factor, but yeah, when I think I just spent too much time outside yesterday, and I was on my ride-on lawnmower and I was just driving around literally on the garden and a couple of hours just went. But anyway, I feel even though I haven't actually made something from scratch this week, I've actually had a really productive day, which of course was on Monday, which was sewing outside. And I think I brought 3 garments back from the brink, so I've 3 garments now to wear, which is great. So this is the Audrey top that I meant to wear on Thursday to make my next video, and anyway, we won't talk about that. So on Tuesday, my hay fever is gone mental as well. Of course, obviously, because I spent hours outside yesterday in grass, but anyway, it'll be fine. So I opened up the shoulder seams and I rejigged them, and you know, it's an awful lot better. It's not, I don't think it's a beautifully fitting top, but it's fine. I really like it. I wore it with my white shorts. I've got it on with the white shorts now just for this, but it's going in the wash, and I love it. And I'm definitely going to make more. I got some beautiful fabrics during the week. I'm not going to show them here. I'm going to do a fabric haul video. I'm trying to support some of the small indie businesses within the country, and I did a couple of small little orders and I got some beautiful fabrics, and I'm just so excited to I won't say make plans for sewing them, because I kind of have a plan for each of them, but I need to just sit down with all my fabrics and make a sewing plan, really, I suppose. But yeah, so here's my dress that I finished. And I have my other one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on to show you the difference. So I made them from this pattern, which is McCalls 6953. So you can see it's got a few different options. It's basically a sleeveless vest type bodice with a few options for skirts, and I have to say I really like it. Now, I'm a very arm conscious person, but whatever it is about the fit of this dress, I just really like it, and I've worn it with and without cardigans and things, and now that I have got a fit that I like, I'm absolutely thrilled. So the first dress I made last year, I made in a size 12 bodice with a B cup, because I thought that was perfect. I wear a B fitting bra, and I thought the B cup would be perfect. but it wasn't. It was when I initially made it because I thought, oh, this is a really lovely fitting dress. And then I got a little bit more conscious about the fact that it wasn't fitting as well as I thought. I'm actually not going to ramble on about it. I'm going to put it on because that makes far more sense. So here's the dress I made last year. It's in a viscose. I love the fabric. I love a dark background with colours on it. And this has a bird-like pattern on it. A few of you probably recognise the print. I bought this in my early fabric buying days. I think it's a Minerva craft fabric. I lined it inside with an orange cotton, I think it is. And yet, you know, on first glance, it looks like it fits really, really nicely. But it has these like wing bits here at the side. And I actually feel like my bust is actually quite squashed in it. So it's, yeah, these bits here, the more I wore it, the more I kept looking and going, yeah, that doesn't fit quite right. So I'll stand up and show you the skirt of it. So it's got the dippy hem and it's got pockets and it's really, really swishy, and I love it because it feels like a midi length dress, but because I'm only 5 foot, a midi doesn't really suit me, so it's kind of like the best of both worlds. It's up at the side and down at the front. So I feel if I'm in the supermarket and I'm bending down, there's enough coverage at the back, but it still feels like a shortish skirt. So this is the first one I made. So I'm going to put on my new Venice dress and show you. Now, so here's my new Venice dress, and what a difference. It sits nice and flat, there's no wings, and I actually feel like, yeah, I have room. Yeah, it actually feels so much nicer. Now, I don't honestly think the colour suits me very well, particularly with the sunburn at the moment. I think it might be a little wishy-washy for me, but yeah, we'll see. I'll wear it out and about and see how I feel. I think the stronger colours are that little bit nicer on me, but I really loved the fabric. Yeah, so I often do that. I often buy fabrics that I don't think particularly suit me, but I really, really like them. This just feels like a completely different dress. It just feels like such a completely different fit. And that's what I really like about the McCalls patterns, is that they have the options for bust sizes. So it's basically, I think it's just the side, yeah it is, it's just the side panels that are different. So it's got princess seams. So the middle part, I cut it down to the 10 because it had originally been the 12. And then there's a completely different pattern pieces for the side pieces and for the back pieces. So I cut out the 10 in the C cup as opposed to I had a 12 in a B cup, and yeah, what a difference that makes. Now, I wouldn't be somebody who makes a full bust adjustment. I don't feel I have in any way, shape or form a full bust, but it's amazing the difference of going down the size and up the cup. And yeah, it just worked out beautifully. So I'll show you the rest of this dress. Again, it's got the same dippy hem and it's got pockets. It's a really lovely pattern. I really like the pleats. I think they're quite flattering rather than being gathered. And it's, yeah, it's really, really lovely and floaty. For a full skirted dress, it doesn't take a massive amount of fabric. I think I've managed to get this, let me see, the B. I wouldn't be one who buys any more than 2 meters of fabric at any given time, so I think I got this out of 2 meters. Yeah, I think so. It's actually very, very well drafted skirt-wise, and I actually used the skirt pattern of it with a curved waistband to make some skirts because I really, really like it. I love a full skirt, but I'm very conscious about the fact that I'm only 5 foot tall and that a big skirt can just make me look wider than I'm tall. So, but this one really seems to work, and it comes together so quickly, and the pockets are lovely in it. Now again, the pockets really are only for couple of photos, and that's about it. I don't think I've ever put anything into these pockets, but there you go, all for the sake of some photos. So yeah, it hasn't been a fully constructive week for sewing, but my Me Made May pledge is to not only make, but to pull some bits out of the box of not finished, and yeah, just finish them. So I've got this dress now done during the week. I've got the other black shirt dress, which I really like. Now I look back over the video of how I described about the pocket placket, I think it was on Tuesday, and I described it really, really badly. So what I did with it was I needed a bit of extra width at the hips. I let out the side seams ever so slightly, so I gained about ½ an inch. And I mean, ½ an inch is an awful lot when it feels tight across the bum. What I also did then was I sewed the buttonhole placket on top of the button placket, so that from the waist down, I don't have to open the buttons. It's just, I sewed one on top of the other. And I didn't sew them directly on one on top of the other either, so that they would match up. I moved one over ever so slightly, so I got about another, maybe ½ an inch. No, not ½ an inch, maybe a quarter. So I got about 3/4 of an inch overall on the hips, and that made such a difference. And it felt so comfortable. I wore it all day. It was really, really comfortable with the belt. It was lovely. The viscose is absolutely gorgeous in it. Again, sorry, I don't know where it came from, but it was really, really comfy. And I think I'm going to revisit that pattern again. I remember originally thinking that it felt very big on top, but that was because I didn't have any buttons in it, but it was absolutely perfect. The sleeves were lovely. I love the length of them, and loads of moving, and I wore it all day sewing, and that to me is the test. So if I can wear something all day while I'm sewing, it's really, really comfy. So yeah, I'm going to edit all this together, and I'm going to do another video to show you my fabric haul this week. So thank you so much for watching. It's a whole week of my sewing in just 3 installments, but yeah, that was it over the whole week. So thank you again so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you very soon in my next video. Thank you.